Hi guys, so today I'm making up some beautiful spring pots for a little wholesale order that I've got. They want to have some cute little spring pots of joy in their lovely little shop in Warwickshire. If you follow me on Instagram, it will all be on there, all the details will be on there, so do check it out. But I thought I'd do a little share with you. I've done a short for each individual pot, which will be upcoming, but for my vlog today I'm just gonna show you what I've made, and I'm just so happy with them. They're really classy. I've got a lovely white ranunculus in a gorgeous rustic pot. I've got Mascari Ocean Mist, which I showed in my videos from last year that I made for some spring plantings, and I've got some Scilla Alba, a gorgeous, almost like a snowdrop but later, white bloom, all in rustic pots. And I've got a few more things to do. So I've got a lovely bright pink ranunculus, look at that, gorgeous for the Easter weekend, and some lovely pretty violas to match. So I'm going to crack on with this. I'll do a little bit of a video here, but if you want to see a short version, check out my shorts on YouTube or Instagram and of course TikTok, and I'll be doing a quick little short of just me planting them up. It doesn't need a lot of description really, because if you watch it you'll see how easy it is to pop them up. But I basically got bark for drainage, I've got peat-free compost, I've got some lovely fresh moss from the nursery, and of course some locally grown plants from my local nursery. And the pots, which have been sat in the greenhouse just aging beautifully really well. So yeah, so I'm gonna crack on and do a few more which you'll see in this video, and then hopefully a couple of little shorts as well with more details on. Enjoy guys. So here are my ranunculus. Aren't they absolutely stunning? They are like the pre-peony. They are gorgeous. So I've just potted those up, and there's some more Mascari there, although they're a bit flop. I've just had to give them a quick water because I noticed they dried out, but they'll pick back up very shortly. But how cute. I love Mascari Ocean Mist. If you think of Great Hyacinth and Mascari and you dislike it because of the really bold blue ones, I personally quite like them, just think again, because there are so many different colours. There's Alba, there's this one which is Ocean Mist, I think there's an Amazon something as well if I remember rightly, but there's loads of lovely shades. There's like a beautiful lilac colour as well now, so it's not just the deep sort of old-fashioned blue ones you used to see in your nan's garden. There's some gorgeous varieties of Mascari. Look at that, isn't that stunning? I hope you enjoy my little spring vlog so far. So there's a few plantings, and then I shall catch you up with a few bits in the garden that I've also done over the last couple of weeks as well. And now I'm going to catch you up in the garden, but I thought I'd start my waffling with this beautiful magnolia that I actually rescued from our own sale table a few years ago from our garden centre, which we no longer own unfortunately. And this is the first time it's properly bloomed. How beautiful is that looking? So I've just been doing a little wander around the garden. excuse a nice big bumblebee having some pollen there. And I'm looking at my tulips and they're not looking good. They've got the dreaded tulip fire. I think a lot of the ones from last year, they had started coming up and they're not come to much. There's not great drainage in this, and because we've had so much rain, last year it didn't matter, this year it really did matter. So I'm gonna have to put some more holes in, I think, for future and for summer planting, because it's actually really affected the tulips. So they have, it does look like tulip fire, but I do also think it might not have helped that they haven't had a lot of air or drainage around the root systems, having it been so wet this year. These ones at the top are looking okay, so never mind. Maybe not the best display compared to last year, but we'll fix that for the future. And then, yeah, quite a few of my other tulips that have been in have all either come up blind or looks like got a bit of tulip fire, tulip blight. So I'm gonna just assess, and then I might take a few up when the season's done. I might pop a bit of, they need mulching also. I haven't mulched for the last year, just time related. That Shillodox was looking good though, isn't it? That's one I split up last year and planted last year. It's looking lovely now. Yeah, so I just need to do a bit of TLC work on the tulips ready for next year, I think. Anything that's really bad and definitely has got tulip fire I'll take out. Anything that's come up just blind but is still looking healthy, I think we just need to give our soil a good mulch and feed. But anyway, today, enjoying the last of the hellebores because they're not going to be with us much longer. But I'm having a little tidy. I have been weeding through the week. I also did a quick edge, but a very rough edge, just to tidy up. I've got some verbena, which you probably saw from all my videos last year, that really has self-seeded, but it's pushed itself more and more to the front of the border. There's a good clump I chopped back a couple of weeks ago there, which I'm going to move to the back maybe this weekend. There's a bit of a gap over there. Something didn't survive the winter, so I'm going to pop that there. I'm going to leave the odd one in the front because they look quite cool coming up in the grasses. They look really lovely last year, but I just need to give them a good chop back so that all the growth down below, there's loads of growth at the very bottom, and that's what we want them to concentrate on. You'll get better flower heads and they won't be as dangly and langly, that's a word. And so I'm going to do that today. All these need chopping back and a tidy, and I've just been sort of doing a gentle bit of weeding throughout the week. So I've been weeding here, been pulling out that horrible weed that really took over. Gosh, what's it called? Somebody commented on my last video and it absolutely made sense what it was. I'll pop the name down below because it's completely gone out of my head. Anyway, I've been pulling it out. The one good thing about having a very boggy garden at the moment is that weeds with long, horrible roots, tap roots on, are coming out quite easily. So you can see I've really cleared this area. So I've got a bit more to do here as well. There's a lot of pottering jobs to do. There's some verbena up by the house that also needs chopping back. But most of the seed is gone now. The goldfinches have stripped what they wanted, which is why I left it on for so long. So I think it's just a bit of a chop back day and weekend, and just carry on tidying and making the most of whilst the sunshine is out, because it has been absolutely miserable. I'll just show you this patch. So that looks like a load of grass has taken over. It's not. It's our lovely crocus that come out in January, February time. And people who don't realise that's what it is think it's just that I've left loads of weeds in. There are weeds in there, don't get me wrong, but the majority of that is actually crocus. And I leave it on because you want the goodness to go back in. The sunshine feeds and photosynthesizes, the plant photosynthesizes, so all of the goodness gets back into the bulb, which is what you want if you want the flowers to come back next year and for them to sort of reproduce more bulbs under the ground. But yeah, so shout out to my mom who thinks I'm just looking very messy, which we are. We do need a bit of chopping back, but this is not weeds, they are crocus. So there you are, Mom, I did tell you that. I'm leaving them in so that we'll have a nice display next year. And actually in the next 2 weeks they'll soon yellow off and they'll be down and out the way and they won't be like they've ever existed. So yes, when you're gardening and doing more of a perennial garden, these are the things you sort of have to have a bit of give or take on, especially with bulbs. So I leave my daffs in for as long as I can to get the sunshine on that foliage to get them back into the ground and into the bulb, get all the nutrients and sugars back into the bulb for next year. And the same with the crocus and the tulips normally, but they do need a bit more feed, so I'm definitely going to mulch when everything has started dying back crocus wise and I can see where we are. I will be mulching, but yes, I will be doing a bit of weeding around here as well. There we go, a few hours later, and hopefully that's looking a little bit better. All the straggly verbena has been taken out. I've just cut a load more brambles out from the back, with a load of buttercups sitting at the back of the border as well. So it's one of those, isn't it? It doesn't look as much as I've put, but I've done half a big green council bin full of stuff that I don't want in my compost. So buttercups, chickweed, brambles, the honeysuckle, which we love when it's out, but it does send suckers off, so that's gone in. So there's loads of stuff that's been chopped, and then the verbena I use over there because it makes a great sort of path mulch. It's not as long lasting as bark, but it's just a great byproduct from my verbena. It gets so muddy, that's like the main walkway to the shed and the greenhouse, so it makes a great walkway. I put that in a video last year which you all loved, so I've just topped that up with this year's cut back verbena, but it's looking a bit clearer now. I'm sort of starting to see a few things come through, some nice gaps. Water features yet to be sorted. I think I've got a solution for that, so my friend hopefully will come and help me fix that amongst a few other bits and bobs in the garden next Thursday, hopefully, if it doesn't rain all day long. And we'll have to get that fence fixed behind for the neighbour. The last big gust of wind really shut this over, so I haven't lifted it up since, but I think I found a solution, which means we might not have to move it, which would be great. I haven't had time to do the verbena move today, but I will do next week at some point on the next dry day. One of the days have got to be dry, surely. So I'll move those and carry on weeding any evenings. Now it's going to be, the clocks are going forward this week, so back, forward, back. They're going back this week, so we get an extra hour's daylight, which will be amazing. Look at that magnolia, it's come out even more since I started today. Looking fantastic. Yeah, so it's just keeping on top of things this time of the year. That's what I always say, don't get overwhelmed. Try and make the most, even of the winter months, even though it's cold. If it's a dry day, but it's a bit milder, weeds start coming up, just go out for 20 minutes a day, do a little weed, or an hour when the weather starts getting better in sort of March, April, and just keep on top of it that way, rather than sort of wait until spring and then do everything. Do a little bit at a time, and it's easy to keep on top of, and it just makes the job a little bit more manageable. Anyway, so there we go, that's my day. I've got some more brambles to dig out there, look, as well. So we are getting there. It's not perfect, but this is actual proper gardening. Even professional gardeners, you know, like myself and other colleagues, we do have our own gardens to attend, and when you're doing it properly, and you do it on your own, in your own time, because you love it, as well as doing it as a job, you still have to fit life in and do a little bit at a time. So it's not instant gardening, it's proper gardening. But it's going to pay off. This summer I can feel it's going to pay off. There's quite a few things. The verbascum I put in last year, which you would have seen in my How to Build a Cottage Garden video, part 1, 2 and 3, I'll pop them down below. 2 of them, unfortunately, especially down there where the bog is, they've suffered. They've rotted off with all the wet that we've had, but there's one further up the other side of the water feature that's made it. A lot of the other things I put in have made it. There's a catmint and an erigeron here that you can't really see. They're not doing anything right now, but even lower down the growth is not looking the best, so let's see. I apologise if my voice is really low today, by the way. I'm just still recovering from a horrible flu, so I apologise if my voice is a bit monotonous. Maybe just turn me off and just have a look at what I'm doing if you can't stand it. Geum. Right, this is bizarre. Before I sign off, so this Geum, Scarlet Tempest, which I bought from the Malvern show last year, is looking stunning right now. This side, okay? This side doesn't get late afternoon sun, it gets midday sun. Right, let's walk over here to this side of the border, because I tried to make it a little little bit symmetrical, but loosely. There's my other one, which I actually dug up by accident, so I've had to replant him. Anyway, in they are, and it's small, and it's not doing a lot compared to the other one. I mean, the other one admittedly is a little bit early, but this one's not, and this gets probably, yeah, it's getting the sunshine now, but not so much in the morning. So how funny is that? My idea of symmetry has not worked because one is way behind and the other one is a little bit too excitable and in front. Anyway, just thought I'd show you that, the magic of nature and gardening. Snowdrops I put in last week, which are looking amazing. Hopefully we shall enjoy those. I'll forget about them, enjoy them next January. Let's have a look at this beautiful, oh gorgeous. So some of the tulips are working, my newer ones are working, but even the newer ones have suffered. The ones that I put in after Christmas really late, those down there, can you see, suffering. Definitely need to do mulching. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. Action plan, mulching as soon as the crocus and the celandines have died back or started to die back. More weeding, more keeping on top of the brambles. That middle patch is going to need a bit more work when the hellebores finish as well. And then also my next one will be a little bit more on the veg garden. So I've had loads of compost delivered today for pots. I filled up the front border, the new front border, and I've got manure, which I'm going to top up here with the peat-free compost and manure mix and a little bit of horticultural grit. This is some stock left over from designs last year. I've also got a little bit there which I'm selling off at a charity plant sale in May locally. So I'm going to take all my stock away and pop it down the bottom and just get everything topped up with compost. B&Q for me is the cheapest peat-free that I found at the moment, but is still fairly okay quality. I haven't had problems with it so far. It's a good filler as well if you're filling a big border like so, but don't necessarily need 10 bagfuls, because this is not all for that. This is spreading around and going in containers as well. And then I'm going to pop manure in to get some nitrogen back in, ready for some leafy greens hopefully this year. Hopefully we'll do better. Spinach did not do well last year. A lot of things didn't do well last year. Had a lot of pest problems as well, so we're going to keep on top of that this year. So next vlog I'll be doing this little area here with you all. Something to look forward to, eh? Right, I'm signing off. I'm going to go and have a cup of tea in the last drop of sun and have a lovely relaxing evening after a fantastic day of a little bit more tidying in the garden. Hello again everybody. So I'm inside this evening and I've just had a good day out gardening. I'm going to do some sowings inside the orangery where it's nice and warm in our house and nice and light in the day. I'm just doing sprouting stuff. So I'm going to do some basil, and I've been collecting these because I just love the look of the tins. I think they're so funky dory. And I've been dying to do this for a couple of years, so my fiance is literally being driven to despair by the fact that I keep all of these tins and I've got stacks of them everywhere. So I thought, do you know what, let's give a couple a go and get some basil sprouting, maybe grow it into a full-blown herb, or I might just use it for sprouting at the moment and just see how we go in the tins. And I've got a deeper tray where I'm going to put some radish in, and I haven't decided whether to just sprout it and cut it as sprouts, or have a little experiment and try and grow actual radish into little ball radishes in this tray inside, as we are now coming to the end of Feb to March and I've got a nice warm place to do it in. So I'm going to give those a little go, and then I've got sprouting seeds, alfalfa, but I'm going to not grow them as sprouting. I'm going to grow them as microgreens and just use my little shallow tray here and sprinkle them on the surface. So all of the seeds I'm going to sprinkle on the surface and then spray them to keep them damp, basically. And then when they start sprouting, I might use the watering can on a very low drip level Yeah, so that is what I am doing inside tonight after a very cold afternoon in the garden. And some alfalfa, which I'm really excited about, so I can snip those and use them in our seedy salads, in our stir fries and all sorts of things. So yeah, I'm looking forward to having a go. So I'm going to get on with that now, label them up, and then I can update you on my progress with them all as we go along. I'll also be sowing some sweet peas in the next few days, but I just need to make sure I soak them first, because germination for me, and I always recommend it to other people, but you do you, I recommend soaking them the night before you're sowing them. So I just need to make sure I marry up the night before with a day after where I know I'm actually going to sow them and they're not going to be stuck in water for a week. So I'm sure I'm not the only person who has done that before, but obviously that is not ideal. So yeah, sweet peas will be coming along too soon, so I'll update you on that when I get started on those. Hello garden loves, today I am vlogging to you from our very windy garden. Storm Catherine is taking full effect. Anyway, at least it's dry, that's the main thing. So last vlog I was doing more ornamentally stuff and updates on the flower beds. And today I'm going to give you a couple of veggie updates, maybe some other gardening bits as well, but a few veggie updates. So my garlic, my pink garlic, is looking really good. I put the nets on because we have every kind of pest in this garden possible that just wants all my vegetables to fail. So the nets and the cloches went on just to protect them initially, but as you can see, they're starting to come through. So it's time to take the nets off. I did actually do a trial run with some garlic I planted really late that I got on sale, and they haven't touched them so far. So touch wood, touching all the wood, that's a good sign. I just don't want to risk my initial first batch, because if we don't have garlic we are not going to be happy. So that's coming off. My shallots are coming through beautifully as well. Some didn't quite make it, but again, considering I bought them all for £1 a pack, I think it was, can't really complain. So I'll be taking, I might leave the nets on these just for a little bit because we do have a pigeon problem, although they look like they've taken quite nicely now. So I might hold off on that, maybe, we'll see. I've got a dahlia which I'm desperately trying to protect. It came up really early, so I'm trying to protect it a little bit from everything really. Anyway, so these cloches are coming off and then we are ready to go. So we are mid-April, and I'm going to start putting stuff direct sown, and also I'm going to do most of it, to be fair. I'm still going to set off in the greenhouse again, just because all of the pests you could possibly imagine attack our garden. So anyway, so that's this weekend's job, and then I'll be sowing some seeds as well, but I shall catch up with you on that a little bit later in this vlog. Hello everybody, so the cloches have been removed. I am now in the greenhouse and it's getting windy again. Storm Catherine's blowing it through. So I'm going to sow some broad beans. Now I don't know if these will be any good actually, because it's actually really quite an old pack. I've only got a few left. So some late sowings of broad beans, which I quite like to do just to extend the season. If you haven't done them already, it's not too late. You can just plonk them in now. In fact, I've done them as late as May and had a crop. So like late May, not just early May. So don't be worried if you're a bit late. I've got a few toilet tubes, ran out. I have got more at the house, but the garden is currently flooded, so I'm trying not to walk up and down too often. So lazily I've used 3 pots that I've saved from previous years. So partly upcycled, partly, you know, well, it's all upcycled because the pots don't go in the bin, they just get used and used. So a bit odd looking. Welcome to real gardening. So I'm going to pop my little broad beans in those in just a second. But I've also got a coffee on the go, marvellous. Got some carrot to go in today in the ground. And I've got, I'm going to sow some chilies and some tomatoes. Again, if you didn't start them off early, don't worry, you've still got time. you can still sow them. Actually, again, I've done them in May and still got a crop very late September, August, September, so don't worry about it. So I'm doing moneymaker and chili, again seeds that I need to use up from last year anyway, so no loss there. I've got spinach to go straight in the ground. I've got some, again, old lovely radish French breakfast. This is a nice longer sort of root version of radish, so they're going to go straight in the ground today, and some spring onion, which is also going to go straight in the ground. So I've got some nice salady crops, some carrots, which I never have luck with, but I keep on trying and persevering. It's just one of those things. When I had a garden years and years ago, veg garden I shared with my dad at mum and dad's house, we had some blooming amazing crops. We did, however, put our own, well, I say our own, Dad did a lot of the heavy work, to be fair, on the compost front, our own composting, and the veg was just amazing. We did have mice to contend with, but other than that, it was fairly good. So we had great times then, but now I feel in my older, slightly older age, that the pests and anything that could go wrong has decided it's going to hit me hard, which it did last year. So it's very challenging, even for gardeners that have been gardening for years. It's never a dull moment. So yeah, we're giving the carrots a go yet again, and we're going to give all our salad crops a little, well, start off, because I haven't started anything other than microgreens yet, and a little bit of, what else have I got going? Some radishes and a bit of, no, I haven't done spinach yet, but I've got radishes on the go and some basil and herbs. So veg wise, this is my first sowing of the year. Woohoo! In it goes. So I'm going to do that this afternoon. I've just got to pop manure on one of the sections and then finish the compost and manure I showed you earlier off tomorrow. But where I'm putting the outside sowings, it's not going to matter if it's not done today. Yeah, so I'm going to crack on, get my broad beans in, and then do the stuff for outside, and then my tomatoes and chilies. I'm debating, so today, where are we? Move the pots out of the way. Today, there we are, what's that? Nearly 25 in the greenhouse. But, I mean, it's meant to be really warm whilst we've got this storm going, so do I risk leaving the tomatoes and chilies in the greenhouse? But then I noticed it goes back down to 4 next week, but then it's always about, well, between 2 and 4 degrees difference from inside the greenhouse to outside. It's not heated. I might risk it, you know, guys. I've got propagators, my old trustworthy propagator up there, so maybe I will leave them in, or maybe I'll do half and half, just to be on the safe side. Anyway, you know what it's like. We have to really go for it. The more I can sow, the better, to be honest. So maybe I'll just do some inside and outside. Why not? I've got more tomatoes. I've got cherry tomatoes that I also need to sow. I'll pop those in tomorrow and do them inside. Why not? Here's my scruffy bit, look, just before I sign off. My scruffy bit geraniums. We had one frost. One, I didn't cover them in time. Well, a heavy frost. We've had a little bit of cover, you know, ground cover frost, but heavy frost one, didn't get to them in time. They are no longer with us. My begonias have been dormant, so I've just started watering those. I need a bit of water this afternoon, actually, dried out a couple of them. So hopefully they'll pop up soon. And I've got ranunculus on hold here, not for me, for a client. Just protecting them from the wind, really. I mean, it's warm in here, so I've got the door open today. But it's just to protect them from the wind, because these poor, beautiful blooms are going to be absolutely ripped to shreds. My tulips are hanging on for dear life as well. Anyway, so there's a very, you know, unexpected greenhouse update as well. Right, I'm going to leave you with that beautiful photo just there. Look at that. And do my sewing and stop waffling. There we go. That is my broader bean cypriphin planted in RHS variety. So they're all sown and ready. And then if I gently bring you around here, looking at the gorgeous ranunculus on the way, hoping to deter you from looking at all the other rubbish. We've got the tomato moneymaker I've just sown with you, and some of the chili seeds, the jalapenos that I got left from, it's jalapeno, isn't it? Chili jalapeno that I got left from last year, just taking up the last 2 sections of this cell tray. both needing very similar things, so happily sitting in the same seed tray together. It is a seed cell tray, as you've just seen, so that makes an awfully massive, big, amazing difference when it comes to planting out, because they're already in cells. I have double sown. I tend to put 2 seeds in of tomato, one for me and one just in case, and then even then 2 seedlings that come up that then need potting on. Just pulling them apart is so easy compared to pricking out loads of them from one big open seed tray, in my humble opinion. So for a bit of an easier life, I would use cell trays all day long. I've got my cover on. It was going to go in the big propagator with the others, but it doesn't quite fit. It squidges in, the lid wouldn't fit properly, and I would get my lovely little furry mice friends coming in to eat the seeds. So everything has to be secure. And if you've watched my vlogs for the last couple of years in spring, you'll recognise the pots, good old pot, because even the lid on is not enough. The mice will get in and under and steal all my seeds. So I have to have the pots on for as long as I can, and then I move on to bigger boxes. I've got some old Tupperware containers and some old storage boxes. Rather than me throwing them away, obviously, as most gardeners know, you do not throw stuff away. There's always a use for it where possible. So I've kept old storage boxes from like Christmas and storing varying bits and bobs in the loft that haven't got a lid, and I turn them upside down. They're nice and tall, and I put things in like beans, sweet peas, etc. That need to be not necessarily warm, because now I've got glass in this greenhouse all the way round, and perspex to keep everything warm. I do the covering to stop mice getting in, and they will get in even when the seedlings are coming up and are looking quite big and ready to pot on. So I have to keep them in until they're quite mature and not as tasty as when they are when they're young. So that is why I've got a pot keeping that lid on, and then we'll progressively move them to a bigger lid. And then, well, I could show you, there you go. And that's my hauling of many different boxes, containers. That one's flipped up on its side like an old storage box, so they'll end up in there at some point before they go outside, and hopefully they're big enough for the mice not to be interested. And then we've got to net them when they go outside to protect them from the pigeons. It's a never-ending battle in this garden, but do you know what? I wouldn't be without the challenge. It'd be boring otherwise. So I've done the inside stuff, and now I'm going to go outside and do the outside sowings, and I shall update you shortly. So we are outside, and I've made my little drills. I'm trying to make pretty patterns, which I know is not everyone's cup of tea, but I love it. So I'm going to do it. I've made a nice long drill for carrots, and then next to it the spring onion, bit of companion planting. The smell of the onion will hopefully deter carrot fly down the line. The first section of these, if I come up, looks like a tyre mark. The front will be radish, the back will be spinach. The first sowings, because I successionally sow 2 to 3 weeks between, so I get a nice long harvest. And then also next to the garlic, so again with the garlic and the spring onion, wedging these in together, hopefully companion planting, the smells, the strong smell of the garlic, the strong smell of the spring onion will hopefully prevent any nasties coming along. So these are my seeds you've just seen. I've written my labels. These are the last of my plastic labels, and I'm turning over to wood and back to my mussel shells that I've been using for years. But I will reuse the plastic, of course, year on year, upcycle and recycle for as long as I can. So there we go, got my coffee, and I'm going to go and start sowing some seeds, because there's a nice big black cloud coming over my head. And I'm not even joking, every single year that I come outside to start my outdoor veg sowing, it rains. Even if it's been sunny all day, I can guarantee you, like Winnie the Pooh, a little black rain cloud will come above my head and start raining. So I'm going to do this very quickly indeed and crack on. So we're having a busy day, and the first non-proper rainy day in the garden of April, and I'm doing some late sowings of sweet pea. I've got Sweet Pea Muse by Sarah Raven, Sweet Pea Tall Mix by For The Girls, and you can see how they've nicely plumped up. I always soak mine the night before I'm going to plant them. Just gives them a little head start and starts to break down that hard outer shell of a seed. And I've done the same with my little peas. So I've got Hurst Green Shaft, which is a Sutton's, well, what I bought from Sutton's, and then we've got Pea Starlight, which is an RHS variety out of their range which for the girls produce. So I've done loads of peas because I really struggle with peas, so I'm going to do loads of them to give plenty of chance for failure. And they've really plumped up overnight, look. So I'm going to now crack on and get my late sowings of sweet peas and peas off and running. So here we go.